Welcome to week 1 of Lilacia Love Fort Worth Fabric Studios Quilt Along. And you should have 4 sheets of paper. This is the cutting guide and all the different fabrics that are listed. The second sheet is going to show the sorting week. And I put each of these on a design board so that I have them all split up. What we're going to be making this week, right here. Alright, so let's go get started. First thing that I do is I take all of my fabric based on this sheet right here. Okay, I lay them all out, and what I do is I normally will lay A down at the bottom, B next, C, D all the way up, take it over to the ironing board. I will lay out the last one, which is, in this case, fabric K is actually your backing fabric, which is your choice, so it's going to be through J. So I take the green, the tonal fines green, and I lay it down on there on the ironing board. I iron it, and then because there's a lot of creases in this, I starched it and then I ironed it again. And then all I do is I stack all mine up and lay them, drape them on a chair, bring them over here to the table as I cut them. Now I started out off camera with my fabric F because when I pulled it out of my package, it was literally cut already, so it wasn't the strip of the width of the fabric. So I went ahead and cut it to make sure I had enough that it would work. So let me tell you how I did that, so when it comes time for you to do it, if you want to do it my way, you can. Now notice it is 4.5 by 3.5 inch rectangles. So the first thing I did, and I'm going to use this piece of paper as an example. So I laid my fabric down on the table like this. I went ahead and straightened the edge, and I measured the first cut 4.5 inches. So I went over 4.5 and cut the strip. Took the strip, laid it sideways, cut 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. I got 4 of them, I believe, or 5. I don't remember how many I got. But anyway, then when I laid it back down, the next 2 cuts I did 3.5. And then when I went this way, I did 4.5. Now the next sheet on this is the fabric sorting by week, which is this sheet. And if you'll see, week 1 we have 3 different colors. That's what that means when you look at, I can't read it through the paper, E, J, and K. So you'll have 3 fabrics for week 1 that you will set aside. Now, and each one of these fabrics is 10.5 by 10.5 inch square. So that'll be real easy to find. I mean, after you've cut all your fabric up, you're just gonna grab those 3. Not saying that that's all that's gonna be in that color. So just pay attention so that you don't make any mistakes. But first we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut out the fabric first. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, if I run into any kind of problems, I will let you know. The first thing I always do is I get a straight edge before I do any kind of cutting. So I'm going to need to take a break because I think it's dinner for the canines and they're not going to let me do any filming. So let's go forward from here. I'll be right back. I'm going to show you what I'm doing with my white fabric, which is fabric A, whatever background you're using. So what I've done is I took my fabric. This is what it looks like. This is the length of the fabric. I folded it into 2. So I folded my fabric like this, and then I folded my fabric like that. And that's how it's sitting right here on the table. Here's the fold up here. You can see it right there. And here's the 2 pieces right here. Okay? Now, it looks just like that. So because I need 12.5 by 4.5, I'm going to go 4.5 over and do the length by 12.5. Okay? We already know this ruler right here is 12.5. So this is 4 pieces of fabric. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I already know I can get 4 of them on there. So let's do that first. Alrighty, here are the 3 different colors of fabric, but there's 4 pieces. There's 2 pieces of this. And now these are all 10.5 inch. So I have fabric E, fabric J, and fabric K. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to build the block. Here's the block that we're going to be building right here. Here it tells you what is on week 1. And we're just going to do exactly what it says. So I went ahead and I did my cutting first. So I took my dark purple and I cut it twice to make 4. I did it with the green, and then I took my 2 fabrics with the geraniums on them. I think that's what these flowers are called. And I cut them in half, so I have four of these. So you'll have 4 of each cut. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna assemble our block. Okay, so you're gonna put the right sides together like this. And we're not making half square triangles, so don't sew here on the bias. You're gonna sew on the right side or the left side, whatever you want, but I'm gonna sew on the right side. So when we get done, we'll open it up like that, and then we'll have this side and we'll attach it to our purple with the flowers on it. All right, so I'm gonna do each one of these. Now I did go ahead and iron these. Now I did not starch them again, but I ironed them just to have them lay flat, because I just piled it all up on my design board. I'm doing 1/4 of an inch. Alrighty, so I take this fabric because you want to make sure it's centered. And now, remember, when you cut this, you only cut it once. So this fabric is longer than that fabric. Go to the middle. Put yourself a little crease here. Right here, just crease it. Don't pull and stretch or anything. Put right sides together. And then put your crease right there on the line. And go ahead and pin it. And then I pin 2 more times on each side just to hold it. And you can tell that this is longer. The top piece will be longer. If you flip it upside down, I'll show you here in a minute, then it would be the other piece. And I got some of my selvage showing, but that's okay, because it's not going to be in there anyway. So if we flip that upside down, see the difference? Because that's your 1/4 inch. Remember, you put it together and these 2 pieces here, and you lost a 1/4 inch. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and sew all 4 of these. Got them all pinned. Anybody following that Stephanie Bond book that I'm reading that's free? I kind of agree when that, I want to call him an antique, I don't know what he is, the salesman tried to give her a brochure and sell her some more stuff because she sold to her aunt antiques and things like that. When that guy came and demanded for his money back, so the first thing I thought was that he had swapped the item and was giving her back a different item, because you know she's not going to know what her aunt sold. How would she know? Her aunt's not there to even say that that was the piece. So first off, I thought he switched it out and got his money back, and he's doing like a scam. But then right after that, the guy that sold her those things, he shows up wanting to sell her something. Now I'm kind of under the impression he's the scam. I'm kind of glad that her mother cannot, whoops, that's not going to work here, find a real estate agent to sell that place yet. I'm hoping she turns it around. I was kind of leery when she took that found money and was paying their those kids that are working there in that shop, that Christmas shop. I was thinking, oh my gosh, you're taking the money that you found and paying them, and the aunt hadn't done it, so that might be some hot money or something. I mean, I can't imagine that her aunt did anything crooked to create hot money, but I'm just so leery about stuff like that. Okay, so before we sew it, we're going to lay it out like this. So just pay attention. The easiest way to do it is make sure your green rectangle is going downward, and then this one is going inward. This one's going upward, and then this one's going inward. And then we'll sew it together. And I'll sew the top row, the bottom row, and then we'll put the two together. Alrighty, let's do this top. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like July has just zoomed by. Oh, I'm gonna have one more Monday in July, the 31st. Unbelievable. So where did it go? I think the weather's what kind of threw everybody off too, because it hasn't even been weather that anybody's used to. Especially this past summer weather, hot, cold. Then it didn't really get hot until just last couple weeks. Last week it got really hot. Now we didn't have the triple digits like a lot of places did, but it did get up there. Not really too hot out there right now. But my goodness, I feel like I'm in another state with all this rain. We practically had rain every single day. Whoops, not moving along here. Let's see, what can we get going here? Yeah, about the time you think the grass would dry off and you could mow it that evening, it turned around and rained on you. Right before dark. Now, a lot earlier than dark, but so then you couldn't mow it. Then it would dry out all day long and turn around and rain again that night. Even though there was no rain in the forecast. My backyard got away from me a couple of times there. Got knee deep. Right now, my neighbor who retired this summer, he's been mowing my grass and his grass, and our other neighbor who just moved in, young man, he's been using my electric lawnmower, but he sold his house and his closing's next Monday. So I lose him to mow my grass for me. Remember, when you put this together, you nestle just the middle. And when I went to iron my fabric, one of them wanted to go to the right and one of them wanted to go to the left. So I just went ahead and let my fabric go whichever direction it wanted to go. You're not going to pull this, you're not going to stretch it or anything. You're just going to let the sewing machine take it in. It's going to have a lot to go over. Now, if you want to open yours, that's fine. You can open it up. I did not open mine. And I'm just going to slowly feed it through there. That's all. Just slowly. That's not really that hard. Okay. I'm going to guess this is the center. I could be totally wrong too, because I didn't even look at the whole thing. I never do. I look week for week, so I'm surprised just like everybody else. I thought it was going to have a bump there for a minute, but nope. All right, let's iron that open. Then we've got to cut it down to size because they want it to end up being an 18.5 by an 18.5. Alrighty, there it is. It's absolutely beautiful. I hope y'all enjoyed this week. If you did, please click on the like. Give me a comment if you would like. Let me know how yours turned out. And if you haven't joined, go ahead and subscribe. And I will see you next week for week 2. Alrighty, thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.